Greetings and salutations, all you beautiful individuals. It is another episode of League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you guys for a big LCK and LPL preview. We're less than 24 hours away from things finally kicking off in these major regions. But before we get there, we got, not to be outdone, a little drama right before seasons are kicking off, and that is over in the LCS because Sheep Esports, and he was already on the stage to confirm it, Big Dokes will be starting for Lyon Gaming because Zamudo's visa issues continue, even with a full off season to try and get this sorted out. He still is going to be denied entry, and Dhokla going to be taking his starting spot.
Which I'm not looking to stir the pot too much, but I think that is, frankly, just miserable and disappointing that it comes through once again. Another opportunity for Zamudo denied in a situation where, again, this is a player that has been approved for a U.S. scholarship to go and study and play League of Legends there, but he can't get a visa for the job app part of playing League of Legends. I don't understand how any of this is working through. And again,
a little fishy for sure.
Yeah, you can say that, right. And certainly looking at the efforts and the timeline that had gone into it this time around from Lyon's, I'm, again, very surprised that it didn't end up working out. But I will say, obviously something happened within the last couple of weeks down the line where they knew that they needed a backup option. And that's, I think, where you start to see the immediate replacement of Dokes stepping in. Big Dokes, our guy. He's there on the big draw show for the LCS and everything representing Lyon's. So I think it works out in the end. It's certainly one of these moves where having Dokes as your replacement is a fantastic option if you are Lyon's. It is still disappointing that you do have to make a replacement option type of move.
Yeah, I'm a little heartbroken for Zamudo. I'm curious, maybe he can sneak a job in Brazil, CBLOL, something for Split 2. It sounds like this isn't even something that's going to get sorted out by Split 2. Might just be a not playing again or never playing in the LCS. So maybe there's ERLs. I just hope this doesn't mark the end of what is a potential, a good career before it's even started. But we'll stick to the positive side of things. Yes, we were kind of sad Dhokla didn't get an opportunity, and now here he is, and might be better for Lyon in Split 1 at least to hit the ground running with the established veteran on the top side alongside Inspired.
I think a very high percentage that it is going to be overall a smoother, better first split for this Lyon Gaming and where they can find themselves in contention. You're not going to have with Zamudo what it would have been where it is about that growing experience. How green are you? How quickly can you adapt and grow at this stage and the improvements that you would make? Dhokla is stepping in, and there's no mistaking. Big Dokes is Big Dokes. That's who he is. That's how he plays. That's what he can do for your team. Yes, there's going to be limits. Yes, there are areas of mistakes. But certainly the level that he can bring on average days, and if not his good days, is more than enough to be a serviceable and competitive top laner in the LCS. So still think this works out in the end for Lyon's. It just is absolutely a ridiculous situation that Zamudo is unfortunately having to go through again.
And we get to see this penultimate, this mega clash of good vibes Dhokla and I need to win Inspired. Those two energies going head to head. We'll see if they kind of even each other out, maybe.
I think he maybe can bridge the gap for the squad and how things are going. And I fully expect that, again, maybe you're talking about all the other things that can add into this one. I think the off the rift vibes and energy that were proven and shown last year by Dokes are a positive that you could bring into an experiment, to a trial with Inspired in with this group. So very much so. And certainly someone that has at least the veteran experience, that maybe it brings that validity to his voice, to his reasoning when you are in one of these heated conversations, maybe with Inspired down the line.
And again, Split 1 maybe less of an issue, but the preceding splits afterwards, maybe when things start going a little bit more mental, we'll see where Big Dokes fits in. Let's actually get to the big previews for LCK, because we're still a couple weeks away from lock-in actually kicking off. So Dokes will have some time to scrim with the new squad. But the LCK, I think a little tidbit that people forgot in the flurry of off-seasons is it's the same LCK Cup. We have the Elder and Baron groups to get through, and the added little gimmick this year, it's not the LPL with the first gimmick introducing Fearless, it is the Coach Comms coming through just for the group stage of the LCK Cup, which is 3 times per game. Teams are going to have the option to bring a coach on the comms line for them for 45 seconds. The game will not be paused during that time, and they're only obviously given access to the player or team POVs, not the observer's viewpoint where they can see everything.
I think this is really wild because it has almost never happened to have the LCK roll out this experimental type of feature, type of thing first out of all the major regions and how things will play out. I think that's kind of more of an indication of what type of big deal this is, and sort of the eyes, the movement possibly to really spread this around and see if it's going to be something that they want to implement. I'm unconvinced so far about this being truly either a positive or a negative or really a necessary implementation to the game of League of Legends. I think it's going to be something that will go through the ups and downs. I'm sure there will be some coaches that really are fans of having that proactive channel of communication that they can make during these key moments in games. And I think there are absolutely going to be coaching staffs that say, no, give me the old style. Let me go back. Let me have the full broadcast view, see everything that's going on for both squads, and then get to do a debrief afterwards and reapproach and reorganize for game two type of situation, I think that absolutely is going to be one of the discussions that we will see fluctuate throughout the course of this split.
Yeah, and important to note that the LCP will also be implementing this Coach Comms, again, just for early parts of Split 1, but those are the only 2 regions that will be putting it in. And in between games in a best of, you're apparently allowed to change who that coach is going to be. You just have to designate it before the game. Obviously can't change it during the game, but maybe there is some potential for strategies. Definitely going to be a potential for some meme moments, I think. If a coach subs in and immediately a team fight erupts, I can't wait to hear that chaos of comms.
I think the other thing it's going to be, very different on as far as how it's utilized by the coaches and organizations themselves, but as far as its effect on the players, getting that type of information in the moment, whether that causes a hiccup, a delay, or a change in mind, all sorts of things like that. Again, to go into any type of comparison, there isn't a comparison for League of Legends in this regard. You haven't had any of this type of line of communication be open to you in the past type of thing. And it is a drastic change to be able to hear that and get that type of information through. You have, the only type of comparison I can look at is going to the NFL, where you have one player on offense and defense that gets the special helmet with that sticker on it that's got the communication set in it. They can hear the head coaches and everything, the coordinators, all that type of stuff. It's a lot of information, a lot of voices coming through your ears, and you still got to execute, still got to make decision-making and all sorts of things like that. The physical side is going to be far less, of course, the difference with football and an e-sport when you're talking League of Legends, but I still think that information overload and to be able to process it and execute on that information, that's going to be a different skill set that we haven't had to see before from any of these players because, again, haven't had the coaches' comms in the line before.
So then we get to, the actual, it's a similar format aside from the coaches' comms. So, we go through the whole group stage, play-in stage, playoffs, blah, blah, blah. We're skipping right ahead. We got 2 teams going to first stand this year from the LCK and the LPL. It's just the winner and the runner-up from Split 1. So, Mark, I gotta ask, who's not only winning, but who are the teams that you think are going to first stand? I know it's kind of everyone probably saying Hanwha, Gen.G, T1. You got to pick 2 out of those 3, but which 2? Or maybe you got a little upset on your mind.
I got to be easy here for my boys and rep my squad with T1, making sure that they're going through. And I'm going to break the trend. I'm going to go crazy. We're getting T1 as a domestic champion heading towards first stand. I think that the mojo and the energy and momentum that they will carry with Pays is going to be that dominant force in this first split. Joining them, though, it will be some familiar faces. It will be their former T1 teammates from Hanwha Life with Gumayushi and Zeus finding their way through. That's how I got things falling out in Split 1 of the LCK.
I'm buying into the T1 angle. I know it's not a hot take to say they're going to win a tournament, but it's borderline mild take to say they're winning an LCK split because it's been a very long time. But I think, yeah, absolutely remotivated with Pays coming into the lineup. That bot lane is going to be an absolute menace to deal with. And also, I feel like this squad should be burnt out already. But seeing how much fun they were having in the season open thing for the LCK, like it looks like they've had a blast doing all this preseason tour that they've done. So I think despite winning 3 worlds in a row, they're more motivated than ever. I might go one further and say it's either Pays or Kyria that are picking up MVP in Split 1. Just imagine your Pays going from a combo of Duo and Wink to Kyria. That's not even fair.
Just a reminder that life can change pretty quick, and sometimes for the lucky of us, it changes for the better, like this with Pays and the situation he's going to find himself with T1. I'm going to go the Kyria angle there for the MVP because I think that, again, what has been going on these past off seasons, one of the things that I saw was interesting is a very recent interview going, he wants to be T1 until the day he dies. This is what he has become now with the exodus of Zeus and Gumayushi. He has seen his friends, his comrades go away and try to make their own name for themselves, where he has said, no, my name, my home is with T1 as the organization. And I think that extra little motivation is going to be what pushes this T1 to be that dominant domestic force once again, claiming the LCK title this split around.
So maybe not a huge surprise, but if we go, what big surprise are we seeing from the split? Good and bad. If I'm talking the bad side of things, surprise, I'm going a little different than you. You got Hanwha going to that first stand. I got them having a slow start in Split 1 and finishing outside of top 3. A squad like D+, Nongshim, even BNK, maybe stealing that top 3 finish, KT from them, and it's not going to be panic alarms or anything, but Kanavi for Peanut is a big change. I know we've seen them look good, Gumayushi in a new lineup. I just think this team's going to take some time to get rolling. They're going to go to Worlds and be an absolute behemoth, but I think they start a little slow in 2026.
I can see that. I can certainly see an angle or a history where they possibly try to take, it takes too long to figure out what this team's identity, what everybody's exact role and optimal conditions are to find success in the LCK. And if you combine that with, as you said, a BNK, KT, DK, all these squads also in that running, finding a way to get these early matches, early edges on a squad like Hanwha Life, yeah, I could absolutely see it become this insurmountable mountain, no matter how talented and good you are and how much you get it together, that you don't have enough runway room, especially in how short this first split is going to be, knowing how short that time is before first stand. I could see that being a possibility. I'm not betting on it. I'm sticking strong with them and their performance, but I think that would be one of the crazier angles. I'm going to go on a different style, and I think that maybe we see Smash enter through and become that next superstar in the bottom lane for the LCK squad. And if he is able to do that on a D+ Kia team that desperately needs an ADC that can be that reliable damage threat in all these key team fights, I think that is that next level and going to be one of those ones where we get a D+ Kia really threatening the tippity top of the LCK.
I mean, if Smash lives up to the hype, I don't think it's much of a hyperbole to say he can be the best AD carry that D+ has ever had, and really, the ceiling isn't that high for him to be able to reach that level. Good side of things for me, I'm saying we got a clock wind back for Nongshim, and we see Scout evade the washed allegations, and I'm going to tell you why. It's because Calyx is still on this roster. We've seen guys get remotivated playing with younger players. Calyx is almost 10 years younger than Scout matching up here, and so kind of being a mentor for him. And number 2, this kid's going to be nipping at his heels to take that starting spot as soon as Scout doesn't play at a high level.
And yeah, either way that one will play out is going to be one of the most exciting, interesting options within the LCK. But I'll go on the side of Scout finding success, finding his form again, returning home. That would be a hell of a storyline. And again, if you're throwing a Nongshim into the picture when we've got already what we're assuming going to be that playoff tier, that playoff bubble, yeah, things are going to get very spicy, very interesting. Get out your foldy sheets type of territory in the LCK.
LPL now side of things. By the way, we have to wait for T1, Gen G, and Hanwha. They're not even on day one action of the LCK. Not the best scheduling, but we'll forgive them because they've had a lot of hype preseason stuff. But the LPL side of things, this year it's 3 different groups that they're going to be separated into. The 6, I don't even remember. Ascend group is all the 6 best teams from last year. Then we've got Nirvana, and Perseverance is the new kind of middle tier group. So they're going to play amongst themselves. But all that means you're going to have the top 6 teams from last year playing against each other a whole lot in that group stage. And I'm going a little deep for Split 1. Again, 2 squads going. I'm sure BLG would be representing at first stand. But I got JDG coming in fresh off of Demacia Cup Finals loss to IG with their starters. I think Honkyu and Junjia cannot be denied an international event, and it's the Tabe effect. This squad shows up big in Split 1.
Oh, baby, that's music to my ears because that's exactly where I'm going as well. The JDG train.
Oh, that means we're definitely doomed and it's not happening.
Yeah, it would have been more exciting taking something else and having a different type of conversation. But I can't get over JDG and my excitement for this iteration and what they can do out of these starting gates here in Split 1 in the LPL. Already getting very positive early signs and seeing those changes in how they are implemented out on Summoner's Rift with Tabe behind the scenes. Yeah, very much so going to be going for this one with JDG, and I think that Hong Q is going to find himself quickly adapting to the speed, to the tenacity that is necessary to be a successful mid laner in the LPL. And again, having that supporting cast with him, Junjia having this JDG team be so prepared for him, I think that is absolutely the right landing spot for him and the right environment to succeed in the LPL.
And Vampire getting an opportunity on I won't say stacked, but solid lineup to really showcase what he's capable of. And I think this team's going to have a lot of haters because they have the 2 CFO guys. People are expecting them to fail in the LPL. I think that fuels them to absolute greatness. MVP side of the LPL, Kanavi's gone. That's a perennial MVP candidate, and he got one last year with him gone. I think Tarzan steps into the limelight. Jungle Pool is not as stacked by any means as it's been in the LPL in years past, and I think Tarzan can run away with it.
Kanavi not here. I don't think Tian is in the starting position for Weibo, so absolutely a wide open spot for what is the established top jungler that is left within the LPL and Tarzan. I think that is certainly something that you're looking and can be one of these big factors that could change, could make one of those things where we don't see a JDG as the champion at the end of it all if Tarzan is able to find his way. But yeah, you're having to look at that as probably the biggest gap between what is the elite tier of player in the region and where everyone else is. I don't think anything is going to compare to the jungle right now in the LPL.
Surprises we're expecting in the LPL. I'll go the good side here. You got Nirvana, Group Nirvana, which is the bottom tier. Only the top 2 advance to even get to the play-in stage. But you got a squad like LNG in that group that I think they not only get into playoffs, they get an upset against one of those top 6 from the Ascend in a best of 5. We just saw the squad go to semifinals. I know it's Demacia Cup, so we take it with a grain of salt, but missing 1XN, Bulldog, Croco, and Sheer are all guys who have had huge potential in their careers, maybe haven't lived up to it, except for maybe 1XN. But this is a squad that will be looking to prove themselves with Edgar as a head coach, and I think this roster is too good to even be in that Nirvana group.
I've seen enough of this type of story before where I know it more often than not doesn't equal out to finding that lost potential or next level that we haven't been able to reach in the past. But I have seen it enough to know that it does happen every now and then, here or there. And so I'd be willing to hear that one out and see that, again, yeah, a roster made up of almost all guys that you know there is another tier, a higher level, a better expectation available. You just haven't hit it often enough or enough where you can give them that type of credit. I think that is a fun one to look at in the LPL. I'm going to take the downside. I'm going to take the rainy day here and say it's over. It's done for BLG. I think that the magic of everything that has been going right and how things had been shaping up for this team, I think having the disappointments, the failures of last year, the cracks have set in to the pottery. It is not fixable at this point. I think that it is going to be a fractured BLG this year around, no matter the immense talent that is still on that lineup.
Yeah, and obviously the expectations are higher far and away than any other team in the LPL, which means there's further to fall if you do fail. I was a similar line where I'm saying maybe not it's the end for BLG, but I think they bring in a sub jungler or a sub support, maybe even both at some point. If it's not in Split 1, it's going to be during the year. I think with some of the egregious gameplay we've gotten out of On over recent years, I think Viper might lose his mind quickly on this squad.
Very much so. Would open that door if you are looking at this one as BLG. And yes, certainly one of those ones where you can look back at the last couple of years and how things have had to turn over in that jungle position in particular. Again, I think not finding a real solution in that spot at any point, simply just covering it up with whatever little tape and everything you can to keep that hole from
last time. We'll bring him back, sure.
It ain't gonna work this year around. I think we finally see the implosion of BLG.
And what's the implosion like? Like they don't make worlds? That's the full disaster if that happens.
Yeah, I think, again, not being a international qualifying team, I think, is that type of level. Yeah, they'll find themselves in a playoff tier here or there type of thing, but I think, again, the ups and downs, the struggle, the fractures that exist within this off the rift now because of these drastic failures in the past years and the general attitude of some of these players, I do not see the success of BLG continuing this year.
And we'll have to wait until day 2 action in the LPL for them to hit the Rift. But they go swinging against a hyped-up Weibo roster that, I think people are excited about that one. Weibo's also playing day 1 against IG, JDG versus Top Esports, the other one. We know the schedule's insane with these groups where you have squads playing back-to-back days because that's just how they do it in the LPL.
It's just the way the LPL does it, and especially in the early part of the year, knowing that, okay, we're going to have a Lunar New Year break at some point here, always going on in the LPL and the LCK. Certainly going to be a factor, but yes, get yourself ready. The way that these groups are lined up, it is going to be a bonanza in the LPL.
Last show where we don't have actual live games that go on the record book that have meaning and hold clout. So very excited to have actual games on the new Rift to talk about. But that is it today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you absolute stunners. Thanks for hanging out, and we will catch you on that flippity flip.